Hello students, good evening. Welcome to BAJIRAO IAS Academy. So in today's lecture, we are going to discuss about the India-UAE relations. Now, if you look at the evolution of India-UAE relations since last one decade, you can see a significant shift in the positive relations between India and UAE. Now, we can say in the Middle East, India has been enjoying one of the best relationship with the United Arab Emirates. Okay, why India UAE relations are actually in news in recent times is because Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is scheduled to pay an official visit to United Arab Emirates from February 13-14 2024. So because of India's Prime Minister visit to United Arab Emirates, so United Arab Emirates is in news. Now, if I can tell you, United Arab Emirates is a country which is part of the Middle East. Okay, so this is a Middle East country, so it is very important for India with respect to energy security and diaspora also. With diaspora we get the remittances, very important for India's forex reserves. Diaspora we get the remittances, much desired remittances. And apart from that, we have also been we also have a positive relations with respect to trade and commerce. Okay, so therefore, because of all these reasons, India and UAE have been enjoying one of the best and fruitful relations in recent decade. So what is the history of India-UAE relations in recent times? First, we need to understand the historical context and the historical relation of India and UAE. So both, including its precursor Emirates, so India had a close relations with ancient trade network. Okay, for example, Sumerians were traded with Melua. That were people who lived in the Indus Valley. Okay, Sumerians used to trade with the people in the Melua. And Megan, so Megan generally it consists of two countries, UAE and Oman. Now UAE has been sharing its borders with the Saudi Arabia, Oman. So therefore this Megan is UAE and Oman. So apart from that, there's also another country called Dilman. So this another region called Dilman essentially means Bahrain. So therefore India had a fruitful or the best relations with all of these countries in the Middle East since ancient times. So all these regions were actually linked with the ancient trade networks. Okay, UAE, Bahrain, Oman, and even Saudi Arabia, Iran. So all these countries were essentially linked with the ancient trade routes. So therefore we can say that since ancient times we had the best relations with the most of the countries in the Middle East, particularly the countries called Megan, UAE and Oman. So apart from the ancient trade routes through land, we also have the maritime routes. So these maritime trade routes have facilitated Arab trade with the India for silk, spices, gold and porcelain. Okay, so Arab trade is an important component of India's maritime trade. Now if you look at the term monsoon, so this was also originated from an Arab word called mausam. Okay, so Arabs during the maritime trade, they have given this word called mausam, and mausam has further led to the development of a word called monsoon. Now after that, we need to talk about the diplomatic relations between India and UAE. So what kind of a diplomatic relations they have enjoyed? So the diplomatic relations between India and UAE were established in the year 1972. Okay, so UAE first opened its embassy in India in the year 1972, and Indian embassy in UAE was opened in the year 1973. So no need to remember this years, but just understand the diplomatic relations and when the diplomatic relations were started between these two countries. But the historical relation between India and UAE in specific, and India and the Middle East in larger context, it is important. So after that, we need to talk about the economic relations between India and UAE. This is most important component of the bilateral relations between India and UAE. So because now if you look at the bilateral trade between India and UAE, it is around 85 billion US dollars. 85 billion US dollars. So in the year 2022-23. So now in this context, one thing you have to understand, and it is very important to understand here, that UAE is the third largest trading partner for India. So USA is the first largest trading partner, followed by China, and then followed by UAE. So even though such a smaller country, it has been competing with the US and China in terms of trade and commerce with India. So because of this reason, UAE is a very significant for India. So the bilateral trade between India and UAE has grown enormously in recent years. So the bilateral trade amounts to 85 billion US dollars, and this makes UAE the third largest trading partner for India and second largest export destination. Now it is the second largest export destination after USA. For India, USA is the largest export destination, and then United Arab Emirates. However, if you look at China, from China we have been importing more than what we are exporting. So because of this reason, trade deficit with China is a concern. Trade deficit with China is a concern. Concern for India. Okay, concern for India. So apart from this, we should also talk about the major items that we import and export from United Arab Emirates. So major items that we export to United Arab Emirates, including petroleum products, precious metals, stones, gems, and jewelry. Now you may have a doubt here that okay, we are importing crude oil from United Arab Emirates, and why we are exporting the petroleum products to United Arab Emirates. Now if you look at India's refining, the crude oil refineries and refining infrastructure, it is a robust infrastructure. However, on the other hand, countries like Europe or even Russia, they do not have adequate refineries or refining infrastructure. So crude oil, India imports crude oil, and then the crude oil would be refined, and these petroleum products would be exported by India to other countries. So India is one of the largest exporter of these petroleum products across the world. So apart from petroleum products, it also exports precious metals, stones, gems, and jewelry as well. So after that, India also exports crucial minerals to United Arab Emirates. So that supports its industrialization. Okay, so that supports its industrialization and development of its economy, because now they have been looking to diversify their economies. Now these economies are essentially called as oil-based economies. So they wanted to make a transition from the oil-based economies to a tourism-based economies, and not just tourism-based economies. So they also attracting large-scale investments in infrastructure into those countries. Because why they are planning to shift from the oil-based economies? We all know about that. The oil is essentially fossil fuels. It is essentially fossil fuels, and it is no longer sustainable depending on these fossil fuels in the future, because most of the countries have committed that they would become net zero by 2047, most of the developed countries. So in the future also we can expect that the use of fossil fuels could be reduced, primarily because of the concerns which are associated with the climate change. Okay, so because of this reason, countries like UAE, which are oil-based economies, were planning to make a transition from these oil-based economies to tourism-based economies. So after that, other major items which India exports to UAE include food items. So that are sugar, fruits, cereals, vegetables, tea, meat, and seafood. So in all these items, India is one of the largest exporter, not just to UAE but also for other countries as well. After that, we need to talk about the textile exports to UAE, and then engineering and machinery products and chemicals that India exports to UAE. So however, these are the items on our left side which India exports to UAE. However, there are certain items that India imports that India imports from United Arab Emirates. So they include the petroleum and petroleum products, including the crude oil, precious metals, stones and gems, jewelry, minerals, chemicals, wood and wood products. So these were the major items of import from the United Arab Emirates. So you just have a basic idea that what we export and what we import from the United Arab Emirates. So those candidates who are giving interview today or tomorrow or coming next few days, it is very important that you may get a questions on India UAE relations. So apart from the economic cooperation between India and UAE, we should also talk about the multilateral cooperation between these two countries as well. Now both these countries are currently part of several plurilateral platforms. Okay, so different plurilateral or multilateral platforms. Now BRICS, these two countries were part of the BRICS. Now earlier we used to know that BRICS is a grouping of 5 countries, that is Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. So however, 7 more countries were added to the BRICS grouping. Okay, so including United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and then Egypt, Ethiopia, and then Argentina. Okay, Argentina. So these were the countries which were recently added into the list of these were the countries which were recently added to the BRICS grouping. I think 6 more countries were recently added into this BRICS grouping. Okay, so UAE was invited as a guest country in the G20 summit. Now if you look at the total members of the G20 summit, UAE was not part of the G20 summit. However, since India and UAE have been enjoying best possible relations, so therefore UAE has also been invited as a guest country in the G20 summit. So that was held under the India's presidency in the year 2022. So in the very same G20 summit, there was a new corridor that was announced by the government of India along with the partnership with several other countries. So that is India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor. So this corridor was recently announced during the G20 summit. Okay, so this was signed during the G20 summit 2023 and it aims to connect India to Europe across the Arabian Peninsula, and it has a potential it is a potential rival to China's Belt and Road Initiative. So we all know that China has launched this Belt and Road Initiative and several other countries were also part of the Belt and Road Initiative. So similar to Belt and Road Initiative, India and other like-minded countries which are part of Middle East and Europe, so they have also launched India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor. So that connects India with the Middle East and then Greater Europe. Okay, so this will also help India further expand its trade and commerce connectivity with several other European countries. Okay, so after that we need to talk about the comprehensive economic partnership agreement that India and UAE signed in the year 2022 to further enhance their bilateral trade related potential. Okay, so further enhance bilateral trade potential, so which aims to increase the bilateral trade in services to $115 billion in the next 5 years. So earlier we talked about this that the bilateral trade between India and UAE was $85 billion and it is the third largest trade partner for India. Okay, so therefore because of this reason they have also inked India UAE Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, and they also aimed to further step up the bilateral trade to $115 billion in the next 5 years. So after that, the bilateral investment treaty also, so that we need to talk about. So it was approved in the year 2024. So this bilateral treaty would boost the bilateral economic engagement especially in the manufacturing and foreign direct investment into the both of these countries. Okay, so these were the major relations between India and UAE. Now if you look at the total investment that comes into India, UAE is the fourth largest investor in India. UAE has also been investing in the long-term projects such as infrastructure projects. Okay, so UAE has also been investing in India's infrastructure projects, long-term infrastructure projects. So that will significantly benefit India in the long term. So India also have the aspirations of investing around 100 lakh crore on infrastructure by the next 5 years. So therefore it would aid India spend more on the infrastructure sector. So that is very important for its long-term growth as well as reducing the logistic costs. Okay, so that would further improve India's ease of doing business. Now after that we need to talk about the NRI remittances that we receive from the Indian diaspora who lives in UAE. Okay, so as per 2020 data, the annual remittances that we receive from UAE, by the Indian community is estimated around 3.5 million. Okay, so this is 3.5 million. So this is one of the highest in the world. That is 18% of the total remittances that we receive to India. Okay, so I think this is not the 3.5 million, rather we can say that this is around 3.5 billion. Okay, so 3.5 billion. Now if you look at the total remittances that India receives, so that would be around 100 billion. Okay, so more than 100 billion that we are receiving in remittances from various other countries. So after that we need to talk about the fintech relations as well, because recently India has launched the RuPay card, that is Indian version of the MasterCard. So therefore this RuPay card is actually considered as a key component of digital public infrastructure that has initiated by India recently. Okay, so as part of its Digital India program. So this RuPay card is recently accepted in UAE since 2019, and from 2023 in fact rupee has also been accepted for transactions in the Dubai airports. Okay, so in Dubai airports rupee was also accepted, and apart from that the RuPay card is also accepted in UAE since 2019. So this is also a significant step in the bilateral relations between these two countries. So after that we need to talk about the local currency settlement systems. So local currency, for India local currency is rupee, and for UAE it is dirham. So this is rupee dirham settlement system. So this rupee dirham settlement system was launched in the year 2023. Okay, so where the Indian Oil Corporation has made a rupee payment to Abu Dhabi National Oil Company for oil imports. Now Indian Oil Corporation imports oil from United Arab Emirates, and in turn it pays in rupees to the United Arab Emirates National Oil Company. Okay, so therefore in local currency also local currency settlement system has also been launched between these two countries, that is rupee dirham settlement system. For energy security also UAE has a very important role, because UAE is the only nation from the region which has a strategic oil reserves which are stored in India. Now in this context, what are the strategic oil reserves? So strategic oil reserves usually store a huge quantities of oil in these reserves. Okay, so whenever there's a geopolitical tensions or whenever there's a disaster, that we do not completely rely on these imports, rather we use oil from these strategic reserves. So therefore that would help us meet the energy requirements for a shorter period of time, and that would also control the inflation or increasing the oil prices because of any war or any other disaster that took place in those destinations. Okay, major oil countries. So for this purpose, strategic oil reserves, an agreement was signed between India and UAE to invest in the strategic crude oil storage facility in Mangaluru. Okay, so this is in Kerala, Mangaluru. So with an initial investment of around $400 million. So therefore, please understand that UAE is the only country which has strategic oil reserves in Mangaluru, India. So apart from that, UAE is the fourth largest source of crude oil and second largest source of liquefied natural gas and liquefied petroleum gas for India. Okay, so these facts are also very important, and you can quote these facts in your answers as well as in your mains answers. Okay, so UAE is the fourth largest source of crude oil and second largest source of liquefied natural gas and liquefied petroleum gas. So after that, we need to specifically talk about the defense relations. The first edition of India UAE joint military exercises, the name of military exercise is Desert Cyclone. Okay, the name of defense relations between these two countries is called as Desert Cyclone. So these joint military exercises were held in Rajasthan. So therefore, this indicating that there would be a further strengthening of bonds of friendship and trust between India and UAE going ahead. So after that, we need to talk about the air connectivity. So during the COVID-19 pandemic, an air bubble agreement was signed between these two countries. Okay, so air bubble agreement essentially to protect the people from the spread of this COVID-19 pandemic by reducing the contamination. So therefore, there was an air bubble agreement that was signed between India and UAE, and that was continued throughout the pandemic period. And apart from that, that would not impact the connectivity between India and UAE. So when we talk about the education, IIT Delhi and Abu Dhabi campus will offer its first program from 2024. So apart from that, the Manipal University, this is a private university, followed by BITS Pilani and Amity University. So they have also set up their campuses in UAE by offering the best class education. Okay, so after that, when we talk about the cultural relations, we also enjoying close cultural cooperation, the cultural ties with the United Arab Emirates. So in the year 2019, UAE has conferred Indian Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi with the Order of Jayed. So this is highest civilian award of the UAE, and UAE has given to the Indian Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. So in this context, what should be the way forward? Before discussing the way forward, we should briefly talk about the people to people relations between India and UAE. Okay, so the total Indian community in UAE is around 3.5 million. So this is the largest ethnic community in UAE. Okay, so largest ethnic community in UAE are generally from India. So they constitute around 3.5 million of total Indians. So this is contributing roughly 35% of the country's population. So that is 35% of UAE's population, generally the Indian expatriate community. So after that, in climate change also, both India and UAE have been cooperating together. So because both of these countries have recently launched Global Green Credit Initiative at COP28 and a climate summit which held at United Arab Emirates. So please remember that India and UAE have launched Global Green Credit Initiative. So when we talk about the location of the United Arab Emirates is located in Middle East. Okay, so the countries which are sharing borders with United Arab Emirates, including Oman, Saudi Arabia. Okay, so Oman and Saudi Arabia have been sharing its borders with the United Arab Emirates. Okay, so apart from that, it also have its huge coast of Persian Gulf, and the Strait of Hormuz opens the Persian Gulf into the Arabian Sea. Okay, so this is the location of the United Arab Emirates. So in this context, what should be the way forward and what lies ahead in the relations between India and United Arab Emirates? Now, similar to Vision of 2047 that India has recently announced, United Arab Emirates also has United Arab Emirates Centennial Plan of 2071. Okay, so this was the vision for the United Arab Emirates. So this intends to arm the youth of the country with the skills. So it wanted to develop skills and knowledge that were needed to succeed and fulfill the country's goal of becoming the best country in the world by 2071. Okay, so this is largely called as United Arab Emirates Centennial Plan of 2071. So that mostly focuses on youth and equipping them with adequate skills and the knowledge necessary to make UAE is the best country in the world by 2071. So similar to UAE, India also has a vision. So that is Vision 2047 of India. So which too has a high and ambitious goals for India to achieve its quest to become the modern and prosperous nation by its centenary independence in 2047. Okay, so India has aims of becoming Vishwaguru or global leader by the year 2047. So therefore, both the vision of UAE and India coincides with each other. So in this context, India and UAE have been forward-looking and dynamic partnership. So they have been enjoying this forward-looking and dynamic partnership, so that is ready to face any challenges and even the opportunities. So rightly leverage the existing opportunities in the future between India and UAE that would be benefiting both countries mutually. Okay, so this is all about India UAE relations. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel and also hit the like button if you really like our work. Thank you.